and welcome to our second Federation Ambassadors Workshop. I'm Rhonda Starr, and I'm the Women's Philanthropy Campaign Chair. On behalf of Hope Silverman, our Board Chair, Brian Seymour, Annual Campaign Chair, and Sidel Sonkin, Women's Philanthropy Board Chair, I'd like to thank all of you for your continued dedication to this year's fundraising efforts. I'm excited to share with you that we're not even 4 months into the campaign, and we already have raised $5.8 million. And women's philanthropy accounts for 2.9 million, 50%. Today, we are going to learn about the art of the double ask and how it relates to this campaign year's 4 priorities, which are strengthening Jewish Palm Beach social service network to provide compassionate care for people who need our help, creating opportunities for any child and any adult to feel a sense of belonging and explore their Jewish identity, building a safer, more secure, and more informed Jewish community that stands up to hatred, and innovating how our community educates and inspires the next generation. Although it is Federation that has identified these 4 priorities, we aren't able to fulfill the needs without our partners, most notably the Mandel JCC, Maya Prep, and our own Commission for Jewish Education. As we meet today's needs, we also have an eye toward the future, which is where our Jewish Community Foundation comes in. So is it up to Federation to raise money on their behalf? Hence today's topic, the double ask. Our conversation will be about helping our donors grasp how they are helping so many in our community with one gift today, and why we're asking them to do more for our future. To do that, we're shifting our mindset to look at the donor more holistically. We want to be the center of philanthropy for all of our donors. Think of it as one-stop shopping for their giving. Donors can have one conversation about their total impact on our community. Write one check, even if their gift is divided among several recipients. And Federation will recognize them for their total giving. We act as the steward of those funds, ensuring donors' intentions are fulfilled. And we're making recognition a huge component. This relationship-driven fundraising and integrated philanthropy is critical to how we approach the current 2022 fundraising year. And what you'll hear about from today's keynote speaker, Vicki Agron, a renowned consultant specializing in strategic fundraising. But first, please join me in welcoming David Brown, immediate past National Campaign Chair for Jewish Federation of North America. He's going to share with us the importance and power of the collective on a national and international level, and JFNA's, oops, 1 minute, priorities for the year ahead. Welcome, David.
Rhonda, thank you. And thank you to all of the leadership of Palm Beach Federation. And it's really so glad to be with all of you. As I was saying in the chat a little bit before we started, my whole family moved from Chicago to South Florida area in the Boca Raton area, and then my mom and dad went up to Jupiter to Cuesta, and now my dad is still in Palm Beach Gardens. So my heart and my roots are originally from Chicago, but my family all went to South Florida, and they saw things that obviously all of you have seen, and they're smarter, and I'm just hoping to become smarter at some point in the future. So I'm glad to be with all of you today, and it's really my pleasure to talk about the power of the collective and the power of what we can do together. But before I do that, you know, just seeing the numbers that are on this call today and seeing what you as volunteers and professionals have done together is really remarkable. And seeing how Palm Beach Federation is really reaching its full potential, certainly in the last 5 years or so, is pretty remarkable. And you have a big responsibility, not only to raise the dollars, but to make certain that those people within your community, especially the most vulnerable, are taken care of. And so to all of you who are giving your time selflessly to be able to make a difference, to make the calls, to meet with donors, and all things that are critically important as part of this holistic approach with the donors in your community, I applaud you and just want to thank you on behalf of the national system, and just thank you obviously on behalf of the leadership of Palm Beach Federation. So it is not easy to be able to do what you do. Even today with me, when I'm about to go do a solicitation, I have to still take a little bit of a deep breath. It's not so easy. And you know that a lot of your peers want to be helpful in the community, but they're not doing what you are doing. So you are the creme de la creme of the community, those that are willing to act and to lead and to make a difference. And part of just sort of describing the impact of the national system and bringing it down to your federation, and then sort of the lens, the bigger lens of the international. Let me just go back to how I sort of think about it from my point of view. If any one of us wants to make a difference and have a real impact within our community, even if we have unlimited resources, there's only so much that each one of us individually can do. But when we come together as a community, and when all of you come together under the umbrella of the Palm Beach Federation, you really have an opportunity to make a difference, to take on those, as Rhoda was just talking about, these 4 important priorities: caring for the most vulnerable, Jewish identity, trying to make certain everybody is safe and secure, etc. These are things that only you can do as a community. Individually, you would only go so far, and individually, you would not be able to put the resources together and smartly and strategically deploy them. And then when you think about some of the issues confronting your community and those within it, there are many issues, and security being one, and combating anti-Semitism another, and then lobbying and advocacy as relates to what is going on in Washington. With all appropriate respect to Palm Beach Federation or Miami Federation or New York or Chicago, you can't do it all alone. And so when we come together under the umbrella of the Jewish Federations of North America, and we put together the strength of all of our 146 federation and our network communities, we're able to get people's attention. And whether it's the not-for-profit security grants that you've been able to take advantage of in your community, or the Holocaust survivor grants that are coming, and now we're going to be having a new campaign around that. Or for example, you know, the PPP loans. That came because of our advocacy for Jewish federations together with all the federations to be able to bring the not-for-profit community into this SBA program. That was because we came together as federations, not just one, but all of them all together. And then when we think about the global needs and global Jewry, the reality is that, again, taking your individual donor or your individual federation, or even JF&A for that matter, there's only so far that we can go all by ourselves. And that's why we have historically partnered with World ORT, the Jewish Agency for Israel, and JDC. And all of them have been taking what we believe are our values and our important priorities and initiatives, and making certain that those are reflected in their priorities and initiatives. Aliyah is still continuing to go on. The Jewish Agency, as the primary source of that, continues to bring in Jews and the ingathering of Jews from throughout the world. JDC continues to be the 911 of our Jewish community. Wherever there are Jewish emergencies throughout the world, they're there. And World Orr, with its world-class education system, continues really to make a difference. And so when you think about, again, from this individual donor to your federation, to the work of the Jewish Federations of North America, and then the work that we're able to do with our historical partners, we're actually able to have significant impact year after year. And the dollars that you are able to raise within your community that gets allocated locally, that ultimately then some of it gets allocated on a national basis to the Jewish Federations of North America, and then internationally to our historical partners, we're able to come together and really make a difference and have a cohesive plan. And so you're part of something, as you sit here in Palm Beach, you're part of something much bigger even than your federation and your community. And that actually feels really good. And we're able to make this impact together. So that's the message that I wanted to leave you with, which is, you're part of something bigger. You guys are making a real difference every single day. You're doing the tough work. And when I talk about, leadership development within the Chicago community, or I'm speaking nationally, the tough things to do are the campaign. And all of you have rolled up your sleeve and said, Hineni, here I am. I'm here to do the tough things. And that just says a lot about you and says a lot about your leadership. And so we need you today. We need you tomorrow. And I'll leave you just with this thought as I'm going to turn it over to Vicki, who is the best at what she does in training and development and just making the case for giving. When I go out and solicit somebody, it is my true belief that I'm not asking and I'm not trying to take something away from somebody. I'm truly giving them a gift. And so think about it in the context of when you are out and you're calling somebody on the phone, or you're meeting them for coffee and you're talking holistically about their Jewish giving, you're giving them a gift. And they may not appreciate it at that time and moment, but they ultimately will. And the reality is, by you asking them to have that Jewish conversation, to understand them, their values, what's important to them, they're going to come away with a better sense of their own identity, their own purpose, their own sense of what their family can do. And that was the catalyst behind that, was your conversation with them. So to all of you, the best in your continuation of your successful campaigns. JF&A and all of its resources and all of its officers are here to help and support all that you do. We look forward to watching your continued success and are here to be able to partner with you on anything we can do. Vicki, I'm going to turn it over to you, and looking forward to seeing and understanding a great training session. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I know David, and not only is he a working attorney every single day and the leader of a large and sprawling family, but he is a true mensch, a very generous donor, and always a gentleman. Many times, my husband and I are invited to the grand opening of a new restaurant here in Miami. We never go. About a week later, we'll read in the paper that some critic has been to that restaurant and thinks the food is absolutely fabulous. We still don't go. But when a friend of ours tells us that they went to that restaurant and the food was just great, we go. That's the power of word of mouth. It's the best motivator. It makes the greatest impact. And that's why we need the word of your mouth in the Palm Beach community. The messenger is as important as the message. And speaking of your mouth, I want to talk for a minute about your face. Even though we are in a very unusual time, it is so important when we reach out to our donors for them to see our face so they can see the passion that we feel. And it is important to do that, if not face-to-face, then on Zoom or even by using FaceTime. We know that when it's face-to-face, we get higher gifts. We connect with people. The eyes connect. It's certainly a more personal way to reach out to people. It delivers on the promise of community, and it makes it a community experience. So I hope you'll not only use the word of your mouth as ambassadors, but you will use your face to let your donors know how much you care about this community and about each and every one of them. This year, I want to give you a great conversation starter. And that is that I recommend highly that you begin your solicitations by acknowledging the elephant in the room. We are living in very challenging times. And in fact, I would begin the conversation by making that statement. This has been such a challenging 18 months. I know that all of us are feeling the strain of the moment. And then I suggest that you talk about yourself. If you want others to open up and talk about how they're feeling in the community today, you need to role model that example and be willing to share how you've been doing. I might say, geez, over these last 18 months, we had a new grandchild, and I wasn't able to hug any of my grandchildren for more than a year. By sharing something personal about myself, I open up that conversation so I can then say to them, tell me, how are you and your family doing? That gives them a chance to give us a response and for us to put on our Dumbo ears and really listen to what's on their mind and what's in their heart. In fact, I would ask each of you, as you think about how this year has impacted you, to share with us here in our small community of windows, or to write into the chat how you would say to a donor that you and your family has been impacted by this most challenging past 18 months. Sharing those concerns and those things that have happened are a way for us to knit back our community together. We've been separated for far too long, but we have a common experience. And although we may be seeing it from a different lens, we've been in it together. So opening the conversation with that realization, I think, sets the right tone for the conversation that's about to take place. After you ask about how their family is doing and you listen to what they have to say, then you could share your pride in how magnificently the Palm Beach Jewish Federation has been able to respond in these challenging times, how proud you are of the community for what they've been able to do. And it's a great time to thank them for their generosity in the past, and hopefully their generosity into the future. I'm going to suggest to you that this is a year where we can afford to be audacious and ask for increased giving to the annual campaign. Yes, there are some that have been negatively financially impacted by COVID, particularly those in the hospitality business, and it's a long recovery for them. But for most of us, the truth is that we've managed through this crisis. And we have a compelling case for giving that is so evident on the nightly news and in the community and in our own homes. So that compelling case, together with the fact that the stock market's working with us and we're aces right now, helps us to make that audacious ask to consider increasing their gift. I know that at my house, the spending has been down. I have not bought a pair of shoes in 18 months. And if you know me, that's a world record. And all of us have had some savings in vacations we couldn't take and items we typically buy that we have saved over this past year. In fact, my retirement fund has more money to give away this year. And I think we can call upon our donors to be more generous than they've ever been before. So this year, please ask your donors to seriously consider increasing the gift. The needs are so clear. They are so palpable. And it is another way that we come back together as the collective that David mentioned, that none of us can do alone, but together we can do so well. For most of the people you're going to be reaching out to this year, there is a second ask, a double ask, if you will. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how to do a double ask. The double ask goes beyond the annual unrestricted campaign, and it talks about the support that comes through Federation for particularly the Jewish Community Center, the Commission on Jewish Education, and Meyer Academy. The Federation is helping all of these agencies raise maximum dollars. It saves them time, energy, and money, and nobody knows how to do it better than our Federation professionals and lay leaders. So what I'm asking you to do this year is not only ask for an increased gift to the annual campaign, and then to ask for a gift to the JCC, Commission, or Meyer Academy. When you get the information about the donors that you're reaching out to, it'll indicate whether those donors are people that should have a second ask for one or more of those three things. The way in which to artfully and importantly do a double ask is to first ask for the annual unrestricted gift, an increased amount to the annual unrestricted gift, and to close that gift with appreciation. And then to say, there's one more thing I'd like to talk to you about. That's the bridge to ask for the second gift, whether it's to the JCC or the Commission or to Meyer. And again, your professional partner will be helpful to you in knowing what that increased ask should be for the annual, as well as what the donor supports for the second ask. Not everybody is going to have a second ask for one of those three agencies, but there's another second ask that applies to almost everyone. And that is to ask donors to consider making an endowment to our Federation. I know that seems like a giant ask, and we're not expecting anybody here to close an endowment on a solicitation that you're making for the annual campaign, but to simply open the door for people to be thinking about endowing their gift. If there was ever a case for giving to the endowment, we've seen it over this past 18 months. How important those funds are in times of urgency and emergency. You know, I'll be honest with you, I heard about making an endowed gift for 2 years before I actually endowed my gift in Denver, where I used to live. And it was painless, and it felt so darn good that last year Now, we need to be talking about endowment as well as about the primacy of the annual campaign, so that we are sure that the community that you have built in Palm Beach will continue on into the future. The double ask is about first asking for an increased gift to the annual campaign, thanking them for the gift that they give, closing that gift, and then saying, there's just one more thing I'd like to talk to you about. Maybe it's going to be an ask for the JCC or Meyer, or maybe it's, I'd just like you to be thinking about making an endowment to our community, especially if you hear that they've sold their business recently, or that they've decided to retire, or if you see that they've had a flat gift over years. Maybe that's as far as they're going to go on the annual unrestricted campaign. But we'd love to have them protect the investment that they've made in our community into perpetuity. And an endowment is what can guarantee that. It is painless today. It didn't cut into my shoe budget one single bit when I made either one of these endowments, because I put it in my will. And I am proud to know that it is there as a symbol of my values and my commitment to the Jewish community. So this year, when we talk about making a double ask, it always starts with the annual campaign and the compelling case of needs that you have and that you know so well. And to close that gift and then say, I'd like to talk to you about one more thing. The second ask is really something that is near and dear to their hearts if they're making a separate gift to the JCC, which of course is covered under the annual campaign. But if they're making an additional gift to Meijer or to the commission, it means it's a passion of theirs. So it's great to ask for that as a second possibility, or to open the door to their consideration of an endowment. The good news here is that you are not alone. You have a professional partner that will be happy to guide you. Talk about what those asks could be for the donors that you're going to be reaching out to. In fact, they're going to cheerlead you through the process. They're even willing to go with you or be on Zoom with you. So you have a partner you can absolutely count on. Finally, as you know, it is always important, no matter how that solicitation goes, to close the conversation with appreciation. In fact, I say, thank your donors profusely. We can't do it without them, just like we can't do it without you. And we want them to know that we not only recognize, acknowledge, and appreciate their gift, but their gifts are literally irreplaceable in our community. They are an important member of our community, and they contribute significantly to the good that we can do together. I have a little PowerPoint one slide that we're going to be happy to send to you if you'd like the cliff notes for this presentation, and you can follow the bouncing ball to each point that I made about opening with an audacious ask to the annual campaign. And then after you close that, asking for a second gift or consideration of an endowment. And I know that Sarah would be happy to send that out to all of you. I want to, in closing, thank you. Thank you for what you have done in the past, what you continue to do for this community. In fact, you are this community. You are the face of this community. That's why I know so many of you. And because I'm also a donor to your community. Although my primary gift is in Miami today, because that's where I live, I am so proud to associate myself with the work of this federation, with this professional staff, and with so many lay leaders that I have known for years and years and years, who are not just legends of our community, but are legends nationally. This is such a strong and well-resourced community. There's so much good you can do together. And I know that this will be a year where you can do more good than you've ever done before. In fact, I know, Rhonda, that I just talked myself into increasing my gift to the Palm Beach Jewish Federation, and I'm going to be happy to do that. I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's really nobody quite like the people of Palm Beach. Good luck and thank you.
Well, I'm gonna amend my thank you to start with Vicki. Thank you for the increase in your gift. I've known you a long time, and you have always been an inspiration. I'm very lucky to know both you and David, and I appreciate both of you spending your time with us today. The reminder that we just had about our collective impact, David, the value of all of us together and the exponential impact we make when we come together is really important. You know, we sometimes forget that because we're here, that we actually have such a broad impact with the money that we raise locally, not just now, but as Vicki talked about, all the way going into the future. And those of you who know me, the word audacious is a pretty good word for me. So I very much appreciate that as well. you know, we certainly have a compelling case for giving. You all have seen it, we've talked about it. And it is a great opportunity now for that double ask, whether it's looking at the JCC or looking at the Commission, Jewish Family Services, the Meyer, and of course the endowments. And as someone who endowed my wife's and my wife's gift when we were still in our 30s, there are lots of options I can tell you how that can be done, and it's not a huge financial burden. Even if you don't have, as I still don't, a will that can get to that place, there are options available, and we have staff and folks in our foundation. Joel Udenfreund, I know, has made himself available, and Lizbeth, and we just have unbelievable resources for that. So never shy away from the fact that people who care about what's going on today will also care about making sure that we continue for tomorrow. So thank you both for those reminders. I think everybody here knows me. For those of you who don't, I'm Brian Seymour. I am very lucky to be the Federation Annual Campaign Chair for my second year here. And I am also extraordinarily lucky to get to work with Rhonda, who you heard from, who has led the Women's Division campaign in unprecedented ways. She and Sidel leading the Women's Division has added tremendous value to the community. So I also want to add a little thank you to Rhonda for everything you do too. For the next few minutes, I want to focus on a new task, a task of welcoming newcomers, new people, new companies that are relocating to Palm Beach. We talked a little bit with David before you all got on the line about, this is really becoming much more of a year-round community. And we know that we've had an influx of new businesses and people coming to Jewish Palm Beach. So it's imperative that we stay ahead of the curve, that we confront and address what's coming and what's next for our community. And certainly COVID has brought a lot of angst here and everywhere else. But here, it's accelerated a change. The relocation of businesses, professionals, and families from outside of our area into our area. And this is data-driven. According to the Business Development Board and the Federation partners with the Business Development Board of Palm Beaches, there are more than 200 companies that have relocated to Palm Beach County since the start of the pandemic. I'm going to say that again, more than 200 companies relocated to Palm Beach County. According to the United States Postal Service data, and I love data, 14,000 plus households from the New York metro area have moved just to northern Palm Beach County alone in the last 9 months. 14,000 households, which is great for all of our property values because everybody wants to buy if you can figure out where you're going to go. But it is also great for our community because we know statistically that some of those folks, a lot of those folks, are Jewish folks who are going to want to connect to the Jewish community here in Palm Beach County. They're year-round, they're families, they've got kids, and they're establishing roots in our community. So we have the responsibility to reach out to them, to connect them to our community. So we have a little bit of an opportunity to reinvent how we introduce Jewish Palm Beach to these folks who are bringing their families with young kids, who are creating, we want to give them volunteer experiences that they have, connected to our congregations, our schools, our partner agencies. We've been challenged. Our community has raised the bar. We've responded to the challenge of COVID-19 and exceeded. But it also means that we've experimented with different things. We've looked at how we can change the way we do business, but we've also proven throughout this that we can thrive no matter what happens to us. So we can't forget the Federation's fundraising efforts. They're the core of how we can commit to do what we do. It's how we help the people that we help. As you'll continue to hear, those efforts need to be holistic in nature, relationship driven, positioning the Federation as a center for Jewish philanthropy, because that really is our role. And we want to connect these people and come into our community with the efforts that we do to make the community a better place. So in a minute, you're going to be assigned a breakout room. Each group is going to focus on an important demographic for our community's growth. Young families, the business community, our country clubs, and our gated communities. And we want your input because you're out there on the ground on how we can support the efforts to connect the new folks coming to our area. There will be a Federation professional in your room. There's a series of questions that the pro will have to help us inform our action plan. And we're going to take what you have and build that into the work that we're doing as we look how we can be ready for more to come. And your input is critical. You're part of this. You're committed to this community. You are this community. As Vicki and David both said, you're the face of this community. And so you're going to be part of welcoming these newcomers, and your input is just going to really give us the real life info of how we can be the most effective. So with that, we're going to go into some breakout rooms, and we will see everybody in a few minutes back together.
We're back.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Alana. Hi, Elaine.
So I think we're all back. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for the time you spent, the ideas and information. I'm excited to hear about all of them. We had some very good conversation in our group and incorporate them into our plans as we move forward. I want to thank all of you for joining us for the conversation we had today. It's an important conversation now more than ever. Your dedication to our Federation and our Jewish community really ensures that we're able to provide the critical care and the services in Jewish Palm Beach that exist today and will be needed in the future. As we continue to navigate the challenging times we're in and the ever-changing landscape, it's your efforts and the time you put in that enable us to meet the needs of thousands of people. I'm sure that you've all begun your solicitations by now. Please don't forget that Federation has great resources that are available to you, including the online toolkit, your professional partner, and we've all heard about our various professional partners who are great, and obviously the workshops we have such as today. Our next and final workshop is going to be Thursday, January 6th. Our topic is going to be the art of gratitude, hail the handwritten note. We're going to receive valuable information from our very own Chief Development Officer, Matt Kernkraut, who everybody wants to be, including Ronnie Portnoy we saw today, and Tracy Van Dorp. Tracy is the founder of Jill's Clay, which provides strategic and operational advice on external relationships and advancements to nonprofits, as well as institutions of higher learning. I also want to invite you to two events that are going to take place before that January 6th workshop. Next Thursday, October 28th, please join us at Roxy's Rooftop Pub for our first in-person business and professionals networking happy hour. It's a great opportunity to meet professionals who are new to our area, reconnect with those who haven't spoken in a while, and make some new contacts. So those of us who are looking to get out of the office and spend a little time doing some in-person networking, it's a great opportunity outside on the rooftop at Roxy's. Starting at the end of November, you're going to have several opportunities to participate in the Jewish Volunteer Center's 8 days, 8 ways of giving back. You can honor the miracle of light by volunteering to help people in need with opportunities throughout Hanukkah and throughout the month of December. So please keep your eyes out for those as you'll be seeing those coming up. We're going to email you more information about those events, including links to register, and you'll also get a recording from today's session for you to be able to refer back to anytime you like. Thank you again for being on our call, and as always, for everything you do for our community. On behalf of Rhonda, because I've heard her say this, and myself, if we can be of assistance to you in your efforts, please let us know in addition to your Federation professional. If you're not getting the support from your communities and you need some additional support, let us know. We want to work with you to make you successful as you work with our community to make our community thrive. So I appreciate everybody's time. Everybody have a great afternoon and evening, and I look forward to seeing you all, hopefully in person, but certainly on Zoom again soon.